There is no other priority more important to now in Arizona than the budget. For the simple reason that everything else flows from the budget. Jobs, roads, education, they're all subsets of the budget. We can't say we're going to concentrate on roads because you don't know where you're paying for them, how you're spending for them. The single most important issue facing Arizona for the next 2 years is correcting the bad past budgets, and we've had quite a few bad ones the last couple of years. The single most important thing I'll be working on first, middle, and last is getting this budget under control.
Thank you. Ms. Rios.
Thank you. Mr. Campos, I recognize that the budget is your number one issue, but I've yet to hear you offer a solution. Again, anybody can say the sky is falling, and we all agree the economic sky is falling. What are we going to do to fix it? Let me tell you what I would do. The Arizona state budget is a $10 billion budget. Did you know that Arizona each and every year gives away $9 billion in tax exemptions? $9 billion. I propose that we take a handful of those tax exemptions, take them away, use those millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to not only balance the budget, but to begin to pay for health care, for roads, for decreased class sizes, for increased teacher pay. Let me tell you what the exemptions are. Let me give you just a couple examples. I was reading through, and there are literally hundreds of them. We have an exemption for commercial airlines to buy food and beverages. Why? We have an exemption for food and beverages that are consumed on the premises of a jail or a prison. Why? I'll tell you why. Because somebody in their infinite wisdom hired a lobbyist, convinced the legislature that they deserved a tax exemption. Let me tell you about one that really offends me as a woman who's worked very hard to champion children and women's rights. The 1-800 sex industry phone calls, those are tax exempt. Why are we not charging a sales tax on something that to me is completely obscene? If we begin to rein in only a handful of the tax loopholes in the state of Arizona, we'd have plenty of money. If we reined them all in, I think we could even do away with property taxes altogether and be like Nevada, or income taxes. Fact of the matter is, there are ways to balance this budget without cutting into public safety, without cutting into senior care, without cutting into children, without cutting into health care and education. We take away the tax exemptions that big businesses and private industry have.
Thank you. Mr. Bustamante.
Was that the first thing I do? Is that the question?
What would be your first priority if elected?
My priority would be to jumpstart this economy in Pinal County. We have all the things that we need. We have the major components that are here. When you go down I-10 and you see all the industrial parks, there's room to grow industry here. We need to get the solar industry here in Arizona, here in Pinal County. We need to make those solar panels here. We need to make those propellers for the wind industry. We need to make them here. If we're going to put them on our schools and libraries, you don't want to see a tag that says made in Switzerland. You want to see that they're made here, outside of Eloy, outside of Casa Grande, in Apache Junction, and in the tri-community also. We need to jumpstart our manufacturing base through the enterprise zone program, and hold harmless also the taxing entities. We've got to make sure that subsidies do not create a problem, but we have a workable program here that we can bring in the jobs that we need, green jobs, good paying jobs, companies that aren't going to just take off, because you get the solar industry, you get them here in in Arizona, they will stay long term. So that's what I think we should be going after. We need to have economic proposals. We need to start working on them early to get this legislation passed. People are hurting, and I really feel strongly about getting the economy going for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fillmore.
Unity. One of the first things that I would do, and I eagerly anticipate the opportunity to do so, is to reach out to across the aisle all of the mayors, the elected officials, the supervisors, to bring them together to ask them for my marching orders to represent Pinal County and the public here at the state legislature. I believe that we have been discombobulated. I know that we have places like over in the border in Queen Creek, they're spending almost $100,000 for a lobbyist. My job is to represent the county and District 23, and I would work to do that. I believe that if we are elected to a position of leadership, we need to be unified. We don't want to have Maricopa asking for dollars for highway on 347 and for Mammoth and Kearney and area asking for dollars on the highway up there. What we need is leadership, united, master plan from the Board of Supervisors so that we can have a plan and we can take it down to the state legislature. I think that we need to have an opportunity to bring all the chambers together, and I would work effectively calling them all and asking them to come on my dime and my dollar to sit down and talk about the specifics of what jobs do we want. Do we want solar? Do we want tax? Do we want film commission? What does this county of Pinal, and what can I do? That's what is, I believe, my first marching order if I am elected. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. McGuire.
Obviously, with state budget deficits, there is too much money being spent. There are some situations where borrowing must occur to provide for a need, as with school bonding. Overall, however, there should be investments in humans over brick and mortar, needs versus wants, protection of basic services like public safety, healthcare, education. I think we need to go to a zero-based budget approach where actual needs are determined instead of using the prior year's expenditure and creating a budget by inflating that prior year's base. I expect government to be efficient, accountable, and responsive to the citizens, hence my credo here, EAR. We also need to boost our economy with incentives for business to compete with other states and countries, in addition with tax cuts or as standalone. There are some places in the world that we should be competing with, Dubai, Ireland, and some Asian nations, for example. Arizona has the resources, the climate, the workforce, the universities to compete. We should and can. And I also echo Rebecca's sentiment with regards to eliminating personal income tax. I think if we put a flat sales tax, a slightly elevated flat sales tax, we would be able to do away with property taxes and eliminate personal income tax in the state of Arizona. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pratt?
The budget and the economy are going to be the prime focus when the legislature meets. That's going to occupy a lot of time, but it's very important that we do not let the budget, the economy, take our focus away from the things that we need some continuity on. Transportation. We need to defend and direct the interests of our district in the legislature. We need to work on the state transportation budget wherever we can. We need to work on safety and security. Like I said, I'll work diligently to support local law enforcement officers with the tools they need to make our district safe. And economic development. Support legislation to make the community business friendly. I will advocate for greater access to higher education. I'm a strong advocate for the CAC bond issue. I'd like to get a plug-in for that. I support that. I would like to see that bond issue pass. We're working with a bipartisan effort to bring the community college or expand the community college in throughout the district and in Maricopa.